A pregnant woman quietly sneaks into the icy river, not to bathe, but to end the life inside her belly. She knows her poor family can't afford another mouth to feed. Her 6-year-old daughter, Oshin, witnesses this, but doesn't understand what her mother is doing. Some villagers eventually rescue the freezing mother, and only then does Oshin learn her mother's intentions. This story takes place in the early 20th century. War and poverty have trapped people in a terrible situation, where countless people die from hunger. Almost half of the rice grown in the fields goes to the landlords, leaving very little food to feed a family. When cooking, people add radishes to their porridge even though it's hard to swallow, but as long as they're full, they're happy. To lessen the burden, many children are sent away to become child laborers, including Oshin's 2 older sisters. Now that Oshin is 6 years old, she can also work as a child laborer. Her father decides to send her out to work and earn money to support their family. Her grandmother can't bear to see Oshin suffer, so she starts eating only 1 meal a day to save food. Besides saving food, she doesn't know what else she can do to help her family. Oshin also eats just 1 meal a day, saving the other meal for her grandmother. They embrace each other tightly, with their tears mingling. Her mother can't bear to see them go hungry, and that's why she thinks about stepping into the freezing cold river to end her pregnancy. Oshin decides to go out and work so her grandmother can have food to eat, and her mother can give birth to her baby. Even though she's only 6 years old and doesn't know how painful it is to be a servant, Oshin says it must be less painful than her mother standing in the freezing river. Her mother's tears flow upon hearing this. Oshin's father arranges for her to work at a lumber store for a year. The store sends the family a bag of rice, her salary for a year. The night before Oshin leaves, her mother sews Oshin's clothes with her old wedding dress, filled with love and worry. Oshin's grandmother pretends to sleep but is heartbroken, worried about the challenges Oshin will face. The grandmother gives Oshin her life savings, a single coin, hoping Oshin can forgive her for not being able to protect her better. Oshin leaves, unable to hold back her tears as she calls out to her mother as the boatman sadly takes her away. Poverty brings much helplessness. Oshin has no food, she faints from hunger several times along the way. Just as she arrives at her employer's house, she faints again from hunger. The mean housekeeper refuses to provide dinner, so Oshin goes hungry again for the night. From then on, Oshin wakes up at 5 in the morning to fetch water, start a fire, and cook. The innocent girl thinks that working at the lumber store means she can eat white rice, but she didn't expect the servants to eat radish porridge as well. When it's finally time for dinner, Oshin is assigned by the housekeeper to clean. By the time she's done, the other servants have already eaten all the food. What could the young Oshin do to fight back? After dinner, she needs to take care of the lumber store owner's baby boy. She carries him on her back for a walk, changing positions when her shoulders hurt. When the baby is nursing, she can't rest either. The housekeeper asks her to clean the diapers. When she tries to use warmer well water to wash them, the housekeeper scolds her. Oshin has no choice but to go to the freezing cold river. Her hands turn red from the cold, and only the warm breath in her mouth brings a little warmth. Maybe crying alone would make her feel a little better. In the evening, she has to heat bathwater for the male servants. In front of the warm fire, Oshin can sneak in a short nap, but if she's caught slacking, the male servants scold her. Since she's the last one to bathe, she's responsible for cleaning the bathroom. As she cleans, she fights sleep. By the time she finishes her work, it's midnight, and she's too exhausted to climb into bed, so she sleeps on the floor. After some time, spring finally arrives. Oshin often carries the young master on her back and listens in on the lessons outside the classroom. Maybe she understands that education can change her destiny. One day, Oshin is caught by the teacher listening outside the classroom. Instead of complaining, the teacher visits Oshin's employer and persuades them to let Oshin attend school with the baby. The employer agrees, but the housekeeper strongly opposes the idea. She believes that if Oshin goes to school, her work will suffer and she shouldn't be allowed to eat lunch. Oshin doesn't argue, she's eager to learn even if it means no lunch. Finally, Oshin begins her short-lived education. No matter how hungry she gets, she refuses to spend the coin her grandma gave her. The caring teacher gives Oshin his own lunch and encourages her to fight for her destiny. The young master often cries during class, so the other students start to dislike Oshin. They confront her, telling her not to come to school anymore. Although they hit her with sticks, she doesn't give in. When the students threaten to bully the young master, Oshin begs for mercy, promising not to go to school anymore. She surrenders to her fate and secretly puts her textbooks back on the school desk. When the teacher asks her what happened, Oshin lies, saying she simply doesn't want to go to school anymore. As she speaks, tears fall down her face. The teacher, feeling helpless, leaves her. Oshin is washing the young master's diapers in the river one day when a lumber store worker asks if she wants to send anything home. They're going to deliver wood to the mountains and will pass by her house. Oshin asks him to take a letter to her family. When her family receives the letter, they're excited but also worried since they can't read. They know it's full of words, but they don't know what it says. Fortunately, the lumber worker can read. He reads the letter aloud in front of Oshin's mother and grandmother. As he reads, he becomes distressed because Oshin is lying in the letter. She claims she's well fed and that her work is easy since she only takes care of the child. Her grandmother cries upon hearing this. As the year goes by, Oshin occasionally wears a warm smile. But then an accident happens. The housekeeper's wage suddenly goes missing, and she accuses Oshin. She forces Oshin to strip down so she can search her, and in the process, the coin from Oshin's grandma is found. The housekeeper insists the coin is hers. Oshin tries to argue but gets slapped by the housekeeper. No amount of explanation helps, so she can only cry. Washing diapers in the icy river, it's not the hardship she fears, but the injustice and false accusations. Oshin brings the washed diapers back, but the housekeeper gives her a hard time, claiming they're not clean enough and need to be washed again. Feeling insulted, Oshin returns to the river to wash them once more. As she scrubs, she becomes more and more upset. Eventually, she lets the diapers float away and starts her journey home alone. A blizzard rages, and Oshin's frail body can't withstand the cold. She collapses in the snow, but fortunately, she is saved by a kind man named Shunsaku who happens to find her. Shunsaku even gives her some warm soup, which helps warm her body. Meanwhile, the housekeeper's missing money is found. It turns out the employer took it for urgent use and didn't have a chance to tell the housekeeper. The coin is returned to Oshin's mother, and her grandmother is touched that Oshin never spent any of the money. The agency that introduced Oshin to work at the lumberyard takes back the bag of rice they had given her family, claiming Oshin ran away from her job. Poor Oshin, she works hard for a whole year without any reward and ends up with a bad reputation. When her mom tries to find her, her dad punches her to the ground, saying Oshin isn't their only child. If mom leaves, who will take care of the crying baby that needs to be fed? This might be the most helpless mom has ever felt. As Oshin's body slowly recovers, Shunsaku teaches her how to write, how to play the harmonica, and even takes her hunting in the mountains. His shooting skills are so precise because he used to be a soldier who hated war so much that he became a deserter. As early spring arrives and the weather starts to clear up, Shunsaku decides to take Oshin back home and gives her his most precious harmonica as a parting gift. On their way, they encounter soldiers who want to capture Shunsaku. Oshin bites the soldier's hand, trying to help him escape. During the struggle, Shunsaku is accidentally killed by the soldiers. In his last moments, he feels relieved that he can finally escape his past. Poor Oshin, now the only person who ever treated her well is gone, and the despair she feels towards her fate is unbearable. As evening approaches, Oshin finally arrives back home. Her father is overjoyed to see her, and her mother nearly faints. Oshin can't hold back any longer. She runs to her mother and collapses in her embrace. She's been through so much, but her mother's warmth can make everything better. Her father, however, is angry when he remembers the gossip their family faced because of Oshin's escape. He slaps her across the face. Her mother cries and begs her father to stop, but he refuses to let Oshin back into their home. She's sent to live in the woodshed, where she plays the harmonica to remember Shunsaku. During the night, her father comes to check on Oshin and feels pity for her. He covers her with a blanket and pats her head, and even his tough exterior can't stop a tear from forming in his eye. The family endures their struggles until the following spring, when continuous rain ruins their crops. Many villagers decide to immigrate to Brazil. Oshin's father considers this too, but the elderly grandmother is unable to travel. Not wanting to burden her family, the grandmother tries to drown herself in the river, but Oshin stops her in time. Oshin promises to stay by her side and wishes for her to live a long, happy life. That night, Oshin's normally gentle mother is furious. She scolds her husband for his lack of filial piety. The grandmother had given everything for their family when she was young, and now that she's old and sick, she's treated like a burden. Desperate to escape poverty, Oshin's mother plans to give their nursing child to a wealthy family without children. She believes this way, this child won't suffer from poverty anymore. After preparing everything, the mother plans to work as a lady of the night at a luxurious hot spring hotel, where no one knows the hardships behind the beautiful exterior. Not long after, Oshin's future takes a turn for the better. A rice shop in the county town is hiring a maid for a 2-year contract. Oshin decides to take the job and sets out on her journey once again. Along the way, she visits her mom and is overjoyed to see her looking beautiful. The next day, her mom sends her off, and Oshin spots a wooden doll in a handicraft shop that looks just like her mom. Her mom buys it for her, so it can always be by Oshin's side as a reminder of her love. When Oshin arrives at her new workplace, she gets up early to cook, but her fellow maid tells her that the tasks are clearly divided, and her only job is to take care of the children. She'll even get to eat white rice like the employers. Oshin can hardly believe it, as her previous job left her with lingering bad memories. Still, she decides to help everyone with anything she can. One day, she plays the harmonica Shunsaku gave her, and the family's eldest daughter and designated heir, Kao, insists on buying it from her. In Oshin's heart, the harmonica is not only a memento from her brother, but also her most important source of strength. So she refuses. Kao angrily throws the harmonica on the ground and stomps on it. Panicked, Oshin pushes Kao away, causing her to faint. Luckily, the doctor checks on Kao and finds no serious injuries. Kao is hurt, and on top of that, her father overhears the story of Oshin and the deserter Shunsaku. He decides to fire Oshin. Thankfully, the rice shop's matriarch and owner, Mrs. Yashiro, is a reasonable person. She knows Oshin must have her reasons, but Kao's father still insists on firing Oshin. Oshin is about to lose her job again, and she fears disappointing her family. Mrs. Yashiro sees that Oshin doesn't want to go home and offers to introduce her to a good employer, for which Oshin is extremely grateful. On the night before she leaves, Oshin remembers how her grandma made a straw doll for her the night before she left to work. She makes one for Kao as well. As an apology, Kao rushes into the room, begging her family not to send Oshin away, and explains the whole situation to everyone. Oshin doesn't have to leave anymore, and she becomes good friends with Kao. Kao often shares delicious pastries with her, and Mrs. Yashiro even teaches her calligraphy. Under Oshin's influence, Kao, who used to dislike calligraphy, changes her views and wants to improve alongside Oshin. Kao's mother is unhappy with the attention Oshin receives, feeling it's socially inappropriate for a servant. One day, as electric poles are being installed outside the house, curious Kao goes to watch. Unexpectedly, a pole starts to fall towards her. In the nick of time, Oshin rushes out and pushes Kao out of harm's way, and they both escape danger. Kao's mother finally lets go of her prejudices, feeling grateful for Oshin's bravery and even thinks it's destiny that brought Oshin and Kao together. She asks the mature Oshin to look after Kao in the future. Time flies, and the new year arrives. Kao's mother prepares a brand new kimono for Oshin, hoping she can wear it alongside Kao during the celebration. Showing her status in the household is second only to Kao. On their way to worship at a shrine, Oshin accidentally meets her mother, who is dressed up to serve her clients. Oshin's heart is filled with mixed emotions, and they don't acknowledge each other, perhaps to avoid causing embarrassment. But Oshin can't stop thinking about her mom. When Kao's father comes home, he mentions someone was lingering outside, and Oshin knows it must be her mother. Finally, Oshin reunites with her longed-for mom. In the cold snowy night, she feels her mother's warmth. Although they have so much to say, her mom knows she can't stay long, as her being a prostitute could cause trouble for Oshin. All she wants is for Oshin to be safe and sound. Mrs. Yashiro witnesses this scene, and when Oshin returns to her room and silently cries, she finds Mrs. Yashiro waiting for her. Mrs. Yashiro patiently consoles Oshin, saying her mother's actions were out of desperation, but at least she knows she has a family and responsibilities. Mrs. Yashiro is truly Oshin's spiritual guide, always bringing light to her life. Soon, Oshin receives news from home that her mom has returned, and they all miss her. Mrs. Yashiro learns Oshin's grandma is seriously ill and decides to let Oshin visit her, sending pure white rice as well. Oshin returns home and enters her grandma's room. Seeing her pale face, she knows her time is limited. Oshin goes to the kitchen to make rice porridge without radish for her grandma. After a few bites, her grandma says it's the most delicious porridge she's ever had in her life. With that, she peacefully closes her eyes. After her grandma's funeral, Oshin's mom hands her a coin, her grandma's inheritance and Oshin's protective charm. With the funeral over, Oshin sets out to work again, determined to work hard and eventually take her mom away from their poor village. People can't stop moving forward out of fear of rough waves or stormy weather. We must believe that warmth can drive away the cold, and the light is close to the darkness. The never give up spirit is the eternal light in our hearts.